All right, this is Infosec 23 Cyber Ninjas. And Alan, looks like you're starting with those dormant IP addresses. Boy, I hope you can explain this because I didn't understand it.
I certainly can't understand it myself. There's some kind of really interesting intrigue happening at the Pentagon and in the bowels of the US government. Way back in the day, the US government, and in particular the Department of Defense, was allotted a huge block of IPv4 addresses, some millions of IP addresses. And for whatever reasons, they never did much with those IP addresses. They used some, of course, but they still left over 100,000, or excuse me, 100 million, essentially dormant, doing absolutely nothing until 3 minutes before Trump left office. All of a sudden, these IP addresses came to life and were started being announced uh, by a particular AS, autonomous system, AS 8003, which nobody had really ever heard of before, and the company behind it nobody had ever heard of before. It's called Global Resource Systems LLC. And up until about 10 years ago, when it ceased to exist, it appeared to be some kind of spam operation, literally a spam operation.
Mm-hmm.
They would send out millions and millions of spam emails. And then the company went defunct, essentially. But it suddenly came back to life, announcing itself as the owner of all of these Department of Defense IP addresses. And nobody could figure out what was going on with this. Various news outlets did reports and uncovered details here and there. And at this point, all we seem to know is that this company, Global Resource Systems LLC, did not steal anything. And although it does seem nefarious, the Department of Defense did authorize the use of these IP addresses by Global Resource Systems. So that part is above board. But as to exactly what the DoD is trying to accomplish here is not so clear. They did say, the DoD did say that the point is to root out some kind of nefarious business on the internet and to better understand traffic on the internet. But that's a pretty lightweight answer for what is a very consequential action. So I'm sure there is more to this story that we will find out about later, or maybe not. It's highly classified, no doubt.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, really. I remember I was trying to sell City College's addresses years ago, and they sell for like $20 each now, IPv4 addresses. And one of the people that really need them is Cloudflare.
Yeah, this block of addresses worth billions, billions and billions of dollars. So at first there was anxiety that this company had bought them from the Trump administration on some kind of weird sweetheart deal, but that does not appear to be the case.
Hmm.
Although the timing sure is weird.
Yeah. All right. All right. And I've got the one that got my attention, the Cyber Ninjas. And when I heard about this, on Rachel Maddow and the news shows, and then when I looked into it, it's people just like us. The Cyber Ninjas are a single guy that went to the OWASP conference and teaches classes online and went and got a CISSP and taught at SyncCon just like we did, and then started a cybersecurity consultancy, which moved to Florida. But then he took the job of counting the election ballots in Arizona. And um, obviously has absolutely no idea what he's doing. He didn't bother to secure the room where the ballots were stored so people could just wander in. Then he didn't train the staff at all. Then he gave them blue pens so they could mark the ballots and make marks that couldn't be told from them that would change the results. Then he brought in an experimental UV system that somebody invented that will supposedly find these magic marks that mean it goes to Trump. And he's obviously just a complete clown with no idea what he's doing. When he asked him to report how his procedures. He refused to comply until he got a court order. And then they wrote up some procedures after it was already underway to make it look like they had some plan. So he has obviously no idea what he's doing. And it is kind of one of these laughable comedy things, but he's going to do it in Arizona and then move on to other states unless the lawsuits against it stop this. But when I told this to my class, my CISSP class said, well, he's violating the CISSP code of ethics, isn't he? And I said, well, I hadn't thought of that, but he does have a CISSP and a CISSP number on his LinkedIn, and he sure as hell is violating the code of ethics. This is actually one of the fundamental ethics rules. You cannot take a job for which you are unqualified. And his qualification is the stuff you'd get from our courses. It's the OWASP, the web penetration testing, proxy servers, using Z-attack proxy and stuff like that. None of that remotely qualifies you to do an election audit of ballots, paper ballots. And he obviously has no idea what he's doing. So, I mean, I'm sure that the CISSP board would rather just keep their head in the sand and pretend this is not happening and dodge the controversy. But anybody like me or any of my students or anybody could file an ethics complaint. I learned the hard way. Anybody can file an ethics complaint against your CISSP at any time. I had it happen to me, even based on nothing. So I'm wondering if maybe we in the information security community should clean our own house and at least cause this guy to lose his CISSP for this outrageously unethical conduct. It would then have the effect of throwing the CISSP governing board right into the mix of the current election madness, where I'm sure they don't want to be, but perhaps it would be a good thing. I'm not quite sure yet. Anyway.
It might be a good thing to preserve the CERT, because I know that the ISC squared is very big on that, at least in their
well, that's true.
verbiage.
That's true. That's another thought. He obviously causes you to have less respect for CISSP when a total clown like this has one. And that has happened many times before, that the complete horrible clowns doing terrible things have valid CISSP, and the rest of us say, you know, why did I pay this high price to get this cert when it does not put me in a club of people worthy of respect, which was the whole idea.
Right.
That I just seem to be like on a prisoner's gallery.
So yeah. maybe we should.
Maybe we should. I know. Anyway, so Australia wants to teach cybersecurity to 5-year-olds.
Yes, let's start them in kindergarten.
Well, you know, Biden wants to start free preschool for 3 and 4-year-olds. We could put cybersecurity in there.
You know, I'm actually pretty certain the kids would love that.
If you
I used to get in trouble in kindergarten because I'd always suggest the kids do like really advanced things like rockets and stuff. And the other teacher was like, that's too advanced, that's too advanced. I'm like, no, the kids are gonna love rockets. And sure enough, they love the rockets, you know.
Of course.
This story made me think of you, Kaitlyn, because it seemed like a lesson you would have given your kindergartners. And I thought, the headline is definitely clickbaity, but when you read it, it really makes sense. They're going to teach the kids how to use usernames, like what nicknames are and why you would want to use that instead of your real name online, and things that you shouldn't click on when they pop up. Seems sensible to me.
No rocket.
No rockets.
No rockets for the children. Oh.
Who knows? Who knows?
It reminds me of Calvin when he says, Mom, can I have a rocket launcher? I want a rocket launcher.
I mean, if Kaitlyn and I were teaching those kindergartners, we'd be starting them off on war games, but
of course. Yeah. Well, all right. So Australia is ahead of us in this regard.
The government ruins everything. They apparently cut out. It sounds like from the article they cut out all the fun stuff because they said that the curriculum was too crowded. So
like lockpicking.
Yeah, lock picking. So how to social engineer your parents and babysitters.
Yeah, stuff that people you get their attention, things relevant to their lives. All right. So, and Irvin, Apple forces someone to destroy the Macs. What's the deal here?
So no, that's not the deal. The deal is these people looked into how Apple handles recycling, because you know how they've been saying, we want to be eco-friendly and make our products to be recyclable and all that. Well, it turns out that Apple has a lot of contracts with recyclers that say don't resuscitate. If you get an Apple product, destroy it. Don't recycle it. Don't take the parts apart and use it, or fix other systems to make those usable. They have a lot of contracts out that just say destroy the thing. And if you Apple does have this trade-in program, And what they're saying here is that that's not worth it. That it's better to sell the Apple device on like eBay or something. You would get more money than giving it back to Apple, because Apple is just going to destroy it rather than put it back out for someone else to use.
Well, that's interesting. So Apple doesn't really want old Macs. They rather destroy them and make people buy new Macs, of course.
Right.
And also, I think Apple doesn't have the opinion that any of their parts are reusable. They've always like removed the numbers from the chips and everything else and had custom chips. They don't regard their products as being a source of raw material you could use to put in different computers.
But yet they talk about making recyclable devices and products.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like, all right, so what is it? You're saying this, but you're doing this.
I see. So, okay. So they're all their claims of eco-friendly and recycling are all just garbage.
Right.
Which is so sad, because their first computer, the Apple One, was literally made by, you know, throwaway components in a garage.
Oh. Well.
Like, you know, it was just a 6502, you know, regular old RAM chips. I think Steve Wozniak probably went around and drafted up a whole bunch of circuit boards, you know, just in the garage. And, you know, now they're saying they don't want anything to do with that anymore. So.
Yeah, that's not right. Okay. And Kaitlyn, you've got, oh yeah, there's a school blocking content.
Yes. So Vice has an article about how schools are using software that blocks content on the internet. And okay, that's fair enough.
Well,
and
you have to do that.
Yeah, you kind of have to. You can't let the kids go to every site, and you can't let them, you know, you got to kind of monitor their email.
Yeah.
And so there's this software that the schools use to monitor the children that looks over their emails. And so they tested the software by sending 65 different email messages, and most of them are pretty bad. Like, you know, hey, do you want to join the neo-Nazi group? You know, the Rebel Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, and the software just let it through. Like, not a problem, not a problem. However, the software blocked some LGBTQ material. So, you know, hey, do you want to learn more about, you know, LGBTQ rights? No, that would get blocked, as well as emails about every town for gun safety, which is, I mean, I get those emails all the time. So basically, a lot of the software is really geared towards this like puritanical attitude. Like, we're not protecting kids against, you know, real threats. The whole idea is that we're just trying to keep them pure, you know, like to keep them away from, you know, sex, you know, porn, LGBTQ issues. We're not doing anything to really protect them from, you know, predators that would want to like actually recruit them into, you know, neo-Nazi games or neo-Nazi gangs, and you know, or anything like that, or even get them involved in reducing gun violence in our schools.
Yet their one of their pitches seems to be that they've stopped 16 school shootings. How?
Yeah, I don't buy that whatsoever.
They stopped emails about school shootings, or what?
Supposedly they claim to have stopped 16 school shootings, but I highly doubt that blocking an email.
They've stopped school shootings by blocking email. How does that work?
They didn't offer any evidence to back this claim up. So.
Yeah. But you know, I prevented 20 school shootings.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, the thing that's, you know, I do remember, you know, being in school. I mean, the point of all this stuff is to avoid controversy. Remember, this is the thing. It's not really about making the students safe. It's about not having parents complain. And this, I think, is the problem with teaching at every level, even our level, is if a parent complains, they want to just blame the teacher and fire the teacher. Whether they're right or wrong, whether they actually did anything is not the issue. The issue is we just don't want anyone complaining.
I don't know how there aren't some major privacy laws being violated, like FERPA rights with this child surveillance software. It seems like there'd be some major conflicts there to me.
No, I don't think FERPA covers this. And by the way, I've heard that FERPA has never been enforced. I tried to use FERPA to make some arguments, and I think it's one of those laws like the Hatch Act that exists more in theory than in practice. Anyway, and then I guess, all right, we're back to Alan with Experian.
It's another Brian Krebs special.
Yeah.
According to Krebs, Bill Dimmercopy, who is a student at the University of Rochester, Rochester Institute of Technology, has discovered and identified an unnamed, an unnamed student vendor company that was accessing an Experian API. Experian, of course, being one of the 3 major consumer credit score bureaus. And that this, courtesy of this API, anyone was able to perform a credit score lookup by using publicly available information about their subject.
This is what we did to AT&T.
Pardon?
This is just what Weave did to AT&T and got in a world of legal trouble.
Oh, right, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, Bill Dimmercopy might want to protect his backside then.
Yeah.
But hopefully he took the appropriate safety and security measures and didn't violate anything.
He wrote a tool and distributed it. Holy cow, this guy could be in a world of hurt.
Yeah. But
they're doing they're doing cool research at my school now.
Yes.
Well, yes. This is like that discussion of giving kids rockets to play with, you know. There is a downside.
Well, the downside really seems to be everybody else in the world who has a record with Experian. Maybe Bill does end up getting prosecuted for this, but Experian most certainly won't, as we know very well.
Well, but they probably will be pressured to fix it.
Well, they've already fixed it, at least for this one third party. But Dimmercopy refused to name the company that he identified this leak from, because it could be exposed through other companies too. So,
wait, there's a downside to children with rockets?
Well, yeah. Yeah, well, you know, this is a big issue, and I started playing with APIs. APIs are amazing. They're probably like even worse than a lot of APIs work this way. Everything is just really wide open, and they hope you won't notice. Anyway, all right, and so then Disaster Girl made $500,000 off the meme, and I've seen people use this meme forever, and this is the first use of NFTs that might actually make some sense. So this is the famous meme picture of this little girl smiling evilly while a building burns behind her. And they explained that this was like a controlled burn by the fire department, and her parents went out there and Dad said, "Here, honey, smile," and took this picture, but it turned out to be really funny and became a really popular meme, like one of the top 10 memes ever. And various other people that are in these viral photos, when they grow up, they say it's just sort of a burden in your life. But she decided to sell it as an NFT and got $500,000. And that's why I felt it helpful to look at someone explaining what NFTs are. The thing is, people have been pushing this for the last several years. Artists can make money by using the blockchain. But the problem is your art is not on the blockchain. There's just some name of your art on the blockchain. So, for example, anybody could sell an NFT of that picture without being the person in the picture or the owner of the picture. And if you buy it, you don't own the picture. You don't have any rights over the picture. You don't get any royalties from the picture. You just own like a trading card, like a baseball card saying, "I have a souvenir of the picture," but you don't really own the picture. You're not really buying anything. It's like the world's total scam. And so anyway, that's why I thought this discussion of Dogecoin also explains it. You're buying something that is intended to be worth nothing. Dogecoin was a joke where they took all the features of Bitcoin that were supposed to make it worth something and removed them to say, here's a cryptocurrency that makes no sense at all. Of course, nobody would buy this. And now there's like billions of dollars in it. And the financial people, the stodgy old boomers like me, are saying, dude, you're going to lose all that money. Sooner or later, people are going to get tired of this being cool and they'll sell, and then it drop like a stone because there's no actual value. So she got $500,000 from somebody, but what they bought is nothing. So it is they're saying this is great. This shows my NFTs are really great for artists. And I say, well, that's one way to look at it. Artists could just go sell cocaine or stick people up and rob them of their money too. I mean, there's ways to get money, but they're not actually doing anything resembling commerce here, where you sell something of value and get money. They're just sort of exploiting the fact that people don't understand the internet and the blockchain. Anyway.
I saw this story, and the most surprising part to me was all this time I thought that was a childhood photo of Kaitlyn, or maybe of me, that I'd forgotten.
I know. That's why
some other lady.
No, that's why these things go viral, because everybody's there. I heard an analysis of Harry Potter that I thought was very meaningful. I said the poor kid abandoned by his parents, they raise him under the stairs, they treat him like dirt, and they say a large number of kids feel that way. They relate to that. That's why they buy the book. And I said, that's a good point. Yeah. Anyway, so then we got Proctorio again, your favorite topic.
Yes, they are the ed tech company that I love to hate. Them and the other one, the Anti-Plagiarism Checker. I hate. Well, yes, Turnitin. I hate them so much. I sometimes black the name out in my mind. So Proctorio is, again, in case anyone is unaware, Proctorio is another student spyware company, probably the leading student spyware company that is supposed to proctor student exams, which it allegedly does so poorly. The software is racist and ableist, and has just a host of ethical and usability problems attached to it. And they're not too fond of criticism. They do not respond with the hand wavy "we'll do better," or even saying we're doing great. Instead, what they're doing is suing all of their critics and suing them harder, because that seems to be the only way that they can strike back at people, is to try and harass them into subjugation and silence.
So we're going to get a lawsuit next week, is what you're saying.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. They one of the people they sued was actually a university employee who had tweeted links to their training videos. I mean, these are publicly posted videos. I'm sorry, they're posted on YouTube, but they're not necessarily publicly searchable. Through an easy way, you can still search private YouTube videos. There are various ways to do that. So it's kind of a disingenuous argument. But now, since this is in a Canadian court, they may be hosed, because hopefully the courts will determine that this is a frivolous lawsuit, because it sure sounds like one to me. I'm no judge, but this is a common tactic for these really just horrendous corporations, where instead of refuting the claims of their critics, or maybe trying to improve the product, they just try to silence people instead.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. This is a very common solution. Just shoot the messenger.
Yep. And they got real mad, because then that guy's university banned the use of Proctorio, which I hope more follow suit.
Yeah. All right, and Irvin's got DigitalOcean.
DigitalOcean was breached. Customer billing data was accessed.
Yeah, they probably got mine.
But look, according to this, they got 1% of the billing profiles.
Okay, and they also didn't even get the full credit card number, so it's really not too bad.
Right. It's really not too bad. But I picked this one just to show that no place is invulnerable.
Well, sure, and I never thought of DigitalOcean as a high secure shop. Their big thing is they're the cheapest.
They're the cheapest and they're the easiest to use.
Yeah. So I wouldn't expect them to like waste money on nonsense like security or anything. The other cool thing about them is I can put up like vulnerable machines that are getting hacked all the time and they don't notice or care. So that's another clue that, you know, top security is not what I expected.
Yeah. I really like them.
I like them too. They're very useful for what I'm using them for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, and so Kaitlyn has got people hacking the vaccine supply chain.
Yeah, apparently this is a big thing going on right now, much bigger than we thought. There's a huge spear phishing attack, and it looks like, or sorry, I should start off by saying this is from CBS News. CBS News is running this article. I did not do this research. And so basically what's going on is that apparently nation state actors are targeting the vaccine rollout and vaccine companies. And we knew this before, but it's occurring at a much greater rate and a much greater scale than we thought. And apparently most of it is being done through spear phishing attacks, which seems very low high tech. However, the 70% of data breaches are due to phishing attacks. So if there is a nation state actor trying to get this data or try to breach the companies using methods that have been proven to work, spear phishing is the way to do it. And apparently a bunch of the CEOs, managers have all been spear phished, meaning this is not just your run-of-the-mill hackers trying to get into networks. I mean, they really want to get into this, COVID-19 supply chain.
Why? How do they benefit from being in the COVID-19 supply chain?
That's a really good question. I mean, they're critical infrastructure. And if we're talking about nation states, I mean, that alone, I think is a good juicy target. Any sort of critical infrastructure, like
I guess you could like shut it down and demand a ransom to like let it loose or something.
Yeah, except that this looks like it's being done by nation state actors, not criminals who would, if this were criminals, they would of course try to shut it down and throw ransomware on it. But this looks like it's being orchestrated by governments to try to just get into basic infrastructure.
Did they figure out which government?
Well, the article doesn't say.
Yeah.
But we can make a guess based on the targeted countries, which include the United States, Japan, Italy, Germany, Korea, Colombia. So
that doesn't narrow it much. It could be Iran, Russia, North Korea.
Yeah, it's one of the three.
Yeah,
probably.
But I mean, the thing is, I guess any of them would probably count it as a victory if they like just messed up the vaccine distribution or created a scare that it was unsafe and just disrupted our society.
Yep.
Yeah, but they haven't done that yet. So, well, hopefully they can stop
that we know of. I mean, these spear phishing attacks, especially against CEOs, are actually quite effective.
Yeah.
Apparently, the executive officers aren't very bright when it comes to cybersecurity.
No, or anything really.
I mean, no, say it ain't so.
Well, I heard a article recently where they said the best ways to make money by hacking, if you're a criminal, are number one, ransomware, and number two, business email compromise. Those are the big ones, because then you just send like an invoice. So anyway, all right. So let's go back to Ellen. Yeah, I'll be out in a while. Okay. Anyway, there's anyway, so here I think we're back to Alan, and he's got something more about COVID.
Yes, and the situation in India, of course, is very, very dire. It's possibly some of the worst that we've seen in the world up to this point in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And the government, the national government in India, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP party, has reacted to some of the criticism on social media platforms by basically commanding these social media companies such as Facebook and Twitter to take down critical posts. So
it's cutting up again. Oh, that's better. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so the government of Modi and the BJP is dictating to social media companies that these critical posts come down. And basically they're enforcing some censorship on criticism.
Yeah.
It's not a large number of posts. We're talking about some hundreds of posts, but they are in some cases from prominent figures such as opposition party politicians.
Yeah.
And apparently Facebook and Twitter have complied with these requests. And this has been going on for some months.
Yeah.
In the case of Twitter, Twitter has reposted some of those earlier posts that it had taken down, especially those posts from journalists. But nevertheless, it seems like companies, social media companies based in the US do not want to alienate the Narendra Modi government and are willing to play along, even if that means that they are essentially abetting a politician and a government that's really shown its stripes as being nationalist and stifling any kind of dissent or democratic exercise of democratic rights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not too surprising.
I'm so glad this doesn't happen here in the United States.
Not like it did in India. Yeah, it's really bad over there now. And this one, a student pointed out to me, I was surprised, in San Francisco is required to disclose all the surveillance technology they put up. And they have listed it all the San Francisco government departments like the airport and the art museum and the board of supervisors and the city attorneys, everybody has listed all their surveillance gadgets like license plate readers and cameras monitoring areas. So it's interesting. And I wish every government did this. It's a good thing. Anyway, then Liz has got gig workers for Target.
Oh yeah, this is messed up. So Target has a service called Shipped, where it's a lot like Amazon Fresh or Prime Now, where you'll order some stuff from Target and then they'll bring it and deliver it to you within a couple or a few hours typically. And it's actually quite slick. I've used it once or twice before, when I had a lot of stuff going on and I just needed some stuff real quick. And it's a lot also just like any of the other gig working apps like DoorDash or Uber or Instacart, so on and so forth. However, this app they introduced a new feature where the gig workers could get paid immediately. And when this happened, it turns out there are some vulnerabilities with regard to it, and that the workers a lot of the workers are falling victim to social engineering attacks. And some people are curious about whether there was a data breach, and so far they claim that there wasn't one, but the scammers know folks' names and phone numbers. They somehow know that all of these people are using Shipped, which indicates to me that you've got a list you're working from. So it's really sad because a lot of these folks are, they may be doing 2 or 3 of these gig jobs just to get by. I don't think that it pays a lot of money. So if you use them, you should always tip really well if you can. And it's unfortunate because these people are just getting cleaned out. And that it's not an easy job either. I mean, they've got to run around and do this stuff and then deal with it every day. So it's really kind of extra crappy that these scammers are taking whatever little bit of money these folks are able to cobble together through there. So I hope they figure this out and let employees know about it, because it doesn't really, it didn't say anything in this article. I don't know if that's actually happening or not, but it didn't say they'd been rolling out notifications to the employees, which you really should be doing.
Yeah. Well, good. And Irvin's got NT hashes.
Yes, this is basically a step-by-step way of getting those hashes from like Have I Been Pwned connected to your AD, so you can check if a user has a password that's been pwned.
Right, and you send up just part of the hash, and
Well, you can download the whole thing.
Yeah.
Instead of running it through the web API, you could do it locally.
Okay, so it's just a way to make sure that the passwords, to see if passwords have been leaked.
Right, or that somebody is using a password that is on that list.
Right. Okay.
So it's a way of integrating that with Active Directory.
All right. I know there's already a couple other ways to do that.
Yeah. So here's another way that people can test out.
All right. Now, and Kaitlyn, you got these energy attacks. These things are very strange.
Yeah, very strange indeed. However, they are deadly, laser attacks that I absolutely love. I love death rays. And these are not exactly death rays. They're actually something a little bit more interesting. So CNN has an article talking about these microwave ray guns, essentially, that just make people feel sick. They don't kill them, they don't injure them, but they make them feel very sick in a directed energy attack. And apparently this has been used near embassies to make bureaucrats and officials just feel queasy right before a big talk, or to make it difficult for them to work. And like I said, the United States believes that other countries are doing this to us, particularly to US personnel serving in Cuba, Russia, and China.
Mm-hmm.
And this brings up a lot of interesting questions. Obviously it's a bit queasy and a bit unnerving to have governments try to assassinate diplomats. Certainly this happens, but it's very rare. What this opens up is a very less lethal option. Like if you had the option to say, have your opponent in a political race, for example, suddenly get the flu right before a big debate.
Yeah.
Is that something that would tempt you? And I think it would tempt a lot of political leaders to have this technology to make their political enemies just kind of get sick, not to kill them, not to turn them into martyrs, not to do anything that could be directly pointed back to them, but make them not at their fullest. And so this is sort of this is the future we're moving into.
Well, now this started in Cuba, right?
Yes.
But I thought they never really determined what the weapon was.
Well, apparently the weapon, as far as they can tell, is some sort of microwave radiation thing. And I know that I've heard of this before being used to simulate discomfort. For if you want to disperse a crowd, you can direct microwaves towards them to make it feel like their skin is on fire when it's really not.
Yeah.
But this apparently just makes them feel ill. And
the one in Cuba did real brain damage to these people, apparently.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. And now they said it was attacked near the White House. So it seems like that would mean there'd have to be a foreign agent with some kind of weapon that you could find.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was the title of the article. Yeah. So yeah, not only has this happened in other countries, I was so focused on the energy attack itself. The big issue now is that it's apparently happening on US soil near the White House.
So but they haven't yet captured one of the devices to find out what it is or anything.
Not that we know of, not that's being reported. However, they apparently have a good idea of what it is. That tells me that, they probably have they probably, at the very least, maybe have a prototype of their own.
Yeah.
They might be using,
Yeah, maybe it's even one of our devices malfunctioning or something.
It could be.
Yeah. All right. And then Liz had the nuclear fallout in the honey.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. And it sounds kind of like a sensational headline, but just to put that out there first, it's most likely not dangerous to people, and you can still keep eating honey without a problem if you already are. But I just thought it was very interesting because researchers had found that that radioactive cesium from decades old bomb testing was present in honey today, which is pretty neat. And I also learned a new unit of measurement here, becquerels, because I was taught physics by an old school, like really amazing teacher, but an old school teacher, wherein he still called it curies instead. And but apparently it was replaced in the 70s. So
Oh,
they just
units of
that teacher
radioactive.
just yeah, which surprised me because I learned physics way after the 70s, but my teacher and guide did not. So it would make sense that it was still curious for us, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
So it's a small amount of radioactive cesium that's apparently concentrated by the bees somehow,
Yes,
but not enough to worry about.
right.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I've also heard years ago that you can tell old water from new water because ever since the first hydrogen bomb, all the water on Earth has tritium in it, except water from really reservoirs that haven't been replenished in a long time, in a small extent. And then Irvin has the VMware article, which was really important for people like me who would like to buy one of the M1s.
Yes. According to VMware, it looks like they will not be emulating Intel on the M1.
Well, not the 32-bit, but
Right, not
64-bit supposedly
32-bit.
by the end of the year, right?
Well, they don't say that either.
Oh, you're right. But no, what they say is it'll be Mac. You could, in principle, run Windows on ARM, but you can't
Right.
run Windows on ARM.
Right, because there's no licenses for that yet, unless you are in the Windows Insider.
So this
Otherwise,
one is going to be a whole lot less useful.
so yes and no, right? The no, because we can't run any of our traditional stuff.
Yeah.
It has to be all ARM based, but we can teach ARM based stuff. I don't think ARM or Intel are going to go away. I think they're going to live in parallel with each other. So yeah. So for anybody who's going to buy the M1 or M2 that follow, you're going to be in the ARM world. You won't be able to emulate x86 stuff.
So we're going to have 2 laptops.
Or we have the cloud, the cloud and our laptop.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's important.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the solution for us.
All right. Well, that's it. We'll be back on Monday. Let me stop.